There we go.
Hey.
All right. So, sound and video brought to you by Camacho Photo and Video. Yeah. And the mics will work then. The series sponsor for Testimonial Tuesday is Ace Handyman Service. So my friends, Joyce, Fernando over there, they're awesome people. If you need something done around the house that is simple, but maybe like hanging that fan, finally getting that fixed, Ace Handyman. Yeah, and that's the Ace with the stores that you're thinking of too. Today, we are here with Teddy from True Tax Services, LLC.
Strategies.
LLC. Gotcha. Strategies. Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah,
True Tax Strategies.
It's up there.
LLC, where we talk about tax things. Currently, it's a lull season when it comes to taxes. That starts January 3rd or 4th, usually the first week when they open the gates.
Yeah, well, this year it was January 17th, and then we actually had an extra few days in April. So
Gotcha.
You never know with the shutdown.
Yeah, so it might extend. Maybe they'll get rid of taxes altogether. One can hope.
I don't know that.
I know it's just your job. I just don't like paying them. Okay?
That's so funny.
At the end of the day. So again, Testimonial Tuesday and great lunch adventures here at the Hilton Garden Inn near UCF off Alafaya.
Yeah.
Come join us, 12:30 lunches on Katrina and the Chamber, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. First kind of question. Tell me a little bit about how you got started, because I mean, if in the scope of like, you know, when you're 5 years old and you're in school and they say things like, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Right?
That's so funny.
The last thing on anybody's bingo card was like, "I would like to do somebody's taxes."
Yeah, let's be a tax guy. No,
Yeah.
so
How did that start for you, man?
So funny thing about it, man, I actually stumbled into my tax career, right? I have a gift of helping people. I have a gift of connecting people and finding solutions to problems that not everybody has.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
I can see that.
I was actually leaving a different career, leaving a different sales career, and I was walking my dog, and some of my friends were like, "Hey, you should help us do some promotions for this tax office that I worked at." And I said, "Why would I give you guys clients if I could do the job?"
Gotcha.
So I learned, took myself back to a few different tax prep schools, and now I run True Tax Strategies.
That's awesome. You got into it how long ago?
So over a decade now. Yeah, this was started in 2014 officially.
Okay.
And now we're in 2025, walking into my 12th tax season. So.
Gotcha. It's a busy season for me. And for those who don't know, my name is Ayrton. I have a small payroll company called Ayrton's Dynamic Payroll, otherwise known as ADP. So we take care of all your payroll needs, workers' compensation, anything to get. So I work with partners like Teddy here on that side of the fence. All right.
Yeah.
So and coming up for me, it's my busy season.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be, yeah, it's going to be long nights for me, but I love it and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Doing that. Your focus when you're in your tax business, like if there's a percentage you can put your 1040s, which is your individual versus your 1120s, the business, where are you at on those?
So I would say the bread and butter of our business is going to be 1040 tax preparation.
Okay.
We love just taking care of anybody off the street who doesn't really know how to get their taxes filed.
Gotcha.
Maybe your kid has been working a job for 2-3 years. They just need somebody that they can trust to get that filed.
Gotcha.
So I'd say around 65 to 75% of our business is going to be 1040 tax prep with just straight W-2s.
Gotcha.
Maybe you've got, Obamacare, you're just not sure how to file the 1095A on the return, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the other 25% is going to be us sitting down with you and your business. We have a bookkeeper that's going to be one of our associate preparers on staff, just kind of helping everybody get that stuff prepared for the coming year. So the other 25% will be S Corps, passing through the K1 information, stuff like that.
Gotcha. With the big beautiful bill, there were some changes that came up on that one.
Yeah.
All right. We're speaking primarily to business owners.
Okay.
What are some that stand out to you on that? I know what I've been trained on, but I don't know. If you don't, that's cool.
Well, no, there's a lot. It's just kind of depends on the nature of the business that you're in.
Sure.
So there are a lot of different strategies that you can use. You can just hit up our website, www.truetaxstrategies.com. We have a lot of resources on there in the downloads page.
Gotcha.
Or just go ahead and set up an appointment and we can go through what you need.
So when they set up the appointment, they go into the website, that's truetaxstrategies.com.
.com.
What like to get them prepped, what do they need? Like, hey man, I want you to show up, and I'm assuming you have an intake form kind of thing.
Yeah. So we have an intake form. It's all going to be listed on the website. Aside from the intake form, we've got our obviously disclosures, things along those lines, and we have a tax preparation list. So if you're a 1040 and it's something simple, I know we're speaking specifically to S corps now.
I mean, but they're all individuals too. I mean, this side of it.
Correct. So it would be, obviously you're gonna need your driver's license so we can verify who you are. Just the IRS requirements that they need us to have for your personal information. So that would be, let's see, we got your 1040. So you're with your 1040, you got your driver's license. We need to verify who you are. Something with some sort of bill. If you have children, we need something to verify that those kids are your kids. We need to make sure
we can't just give them like names and
no, definitely can't just give names and school codes. No, we would need social security information, things along those lines. Just a copy of the social security card we keep on record for at least 7 years, just to because in case the IRS audits us as an office, we need to be able to reproduce that information so we can verify the people that we are actually filing.
Gotcha.
Mainly because we're a remote tax office, so. In order for us to make sure that we can guarantee the security of that, we've got enough security measures in line to make sure we can line that up.
Gotcha.
And then for the S corps or for small businesses, things along those lines, we would need at least the last year that we're going to be filing of your bank statements. So we go through that month by month, line by line, to make sure that everything's accurate and we can take all the expenses that we can from what you need.
So you take all individuals. When it comes to S corp, like, is there? I work with small, medium, and sometimes large businesses. I kind of cap myself at when it's crossing over 500. Luckily I have great partners that take care of those things.
Right.
Where are you kind of setting, like, because I know you partner with other people in the profession,
correct,
right? The accounting profession.
Correct.
Where are you capping yourself of, like, hey, you still reach out to him, right? Because we can get you the right people. But where are you saying, like, hey, I'm not going to be hands-on with this because of the scope?
So personally, the budget we like to work with is $250,000 and down. So $250,000 and down, that's kind of where we're comfortable.
Okay.
Higher than that, of course, we can get it done. It's just going to take us more time, and we won't be as efficient with the work that we're doing. So we do have other partners in the industry, other CPAs we work with, that we would go ahead and give you a referral to. Also, some tax attorneys. If you have any past issues that are longer than 3 to 5 years, we would definitely make sure you try to secure a tax attorney for that, because that's not up the alley of the things that we knock out.
Yeah, and hiding from those problems, friends, is not going to go.
No,
it's not going to wait. I don't care who's the president, which party's in power. At the end of the day, the IRS is kind of like their own little fortress there.
They really are. They really are.
Yes. What are some of the biggest, like this? I find that in talking to businesses, and we'll talk about the individual, but talking to businesses, it seems like the small mistakes have the biggest impacts.
Yes.
Right. So, for example, if you name your company wrong, like it is, and then you come to me and you say, "Hey, how do I get funding?" Right? But you have investment in the name, right? That is severely going to cap the amount of funding possible, because the name implies that you are stuck to the the investment market, right?
Correct.
So if it's up, it's great. If it's down, nobody's lending. So what are some of the small things that you see for the individual that, hey man, this small kind of mistake cost you, kind of impact wise?
Okay.
That we could learn from, so we have enough time hopefully to fix for the next.
Of course, a lot of them is going to be the original organization of the business. For example, so if you have an LLC and you try to get an 1120S filed, but you didn't send the 2553 in to elect yourself as an S corp business, and you didn't fill that out properly, they will send that return back to you and say, hey, this business has not been elected as an S corp to be taxed that way. Therefore, this is an invalid return, and now you're a year behind.
Okay.
So there are things like that we see that all the time, where it's just small document information. Maybe they didn't sign the bottom in part 4, things along those lines that they need to get knocked out. So it's honestly a lot of clerical errors. So we take the time to go through and review everything that we'll be sending out. And we also help you get that done. Also, we're not one of these businesses that charge you $400 or $500 to get an LLC opened up. So what we'll do is we'll sit down on sunbiz.org and walk you through it in 5 to 10 minutes, because it only takes 5 to 10 minutes.
Gotcha.
So it's one of those things where we're not looking to make a buck off of everybody at every corner. I mean, I'm a small business myself, so what do I look like treating you like anything outside of what I would treat myself?
Gotcha. It's kind of like the golden rule, right?
Yeah, treat others as you want to be treated.
Yeah,
exactly.
You call it a golden rule, you call it karma, however it is. I see that every day.
Right.
when you're, if somebody's out there, because we talked before this, like the field that you're in is a dwindling field, right? Meaning that there are more people exiting either through retirement or through passing on to the next life. Unfortunately, it's just not. What would you say to somebody who's never thought of it? Because you were walking your dog and somebody said, "Hey man, help me out with some taxes."
Yeah.
Like what if you were to pitch the business, like the market, and
what's
say,
my elevator space?
Yeah, for somebody who said, I never thought of that area. It's something that, because it's I have a follow up to that, so I'm gonna let you go this way, and then we'll follow up to that.
Okay. So if no one's ever thought about tax preparation, and it's not something that you have any inkling to do, right? It has given myself, friends, and people close to me the freedom to take advantage of other areas of their life that they haven't been able to do in the past. Mainly because your finances are in check every year on time, and you understand a system that would not otherwise be available to you. I mean, aside from that, a large portion of it's data entry, right? And with the direction, I think this is where you're going, with the direction that AI is leaning into our field, why would you even get involved? It's because you still need the human aspect. You still need the integrity of someone who's willing to do a good job. And you need to be able to advise people in the proper direction to integrate AI with what they're doing, because as we saw in Terminator, you can't always trust machines.
No. Also Harry Potter too.
Yeah, that car, man, flew off.
That's what I'm saying. Every time I say that, nobody gets it, but they all think about the owls.
That's so funny.
Okay. Yeah, you think about that. Yeah. So to that effect, because and I tell people about AI, I said, listen, man, this AI, it's built to give you an answer, right or wrong. And we've seen it in other professions. I've heard of attorneys here locally who were disbarred because they turned in case law that was, it was just wrong. The AI made it up, right? It gave them the answer, and there was no review in it.
Yeah.
How are you seeing like the next few years? Like I was telling you earlier, I can take a company 15 people or under with previous balances, onboard them within hours, and get them set up for payroll.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Literally 4 or 5 months ago.
Exactly. It's
so
new.
how are you seeing the marketplace working out for you? And like if something like, hey, you just said, I want to do taxes now.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and type them in. But you're telling me AI is.
Yeah, so AI is going to do your data entry portion for you, right? A lot of that.
Gotcha.
But what you still need to do is differentiate between what tax strategies are the best for the client to use in each individual situation, and also how to integrate that with your current tax plan for the client. So for example, if somebody's an LLC, they don't really make enough that an S Corp would benefit them, but they still need to be able to take advantage of every expense that's available to them. You need to be able to differentiate between, okay, this tax strategy will help you in the future once you're making 100, 150, but right now you're only making maybe 30,000 and your expenses are about 15.
Gotcha, yeah.
How do you manage that, right? Yes, of course, AI can do those little jobs for you, but at that point you need to have the chutzpah, I guess, to identify what's important for the client without actually leaning on the machine to do all that work for you.
Right, and that takes time knowing. When you're spending time with your clients, what's a typical, like, hey, I got you the documents, first meeting, what do you expect, or what should I expect in time investment for that first meeting to move forward?
Okay, well, we actually, it's actually really awesome. We use Calendly to set up a lot of our appointments. A lot of people do that. But we have it structured so that it takes 15 to 30 minutes to kind of understand your tax needs, right? If you're just a regular 1040 and we're not exactly sure what we're walking into as a business, we kind of just take it to feel each other out, right? Like, what did you do for the last few years? Do you owe any taxes? If you do owe, how much is that? Why do you owe? So there's a few qualifying questions that we make sure we run through. And then as a business, we just talk about your goals. We talk about, obviously, the prior year or two's tax returns. And then from there, we'll kind of figure out what's the best strategy for us to approach that. So that's a good 15 to 30 minutes that we take.
Okay.
And then the longer hour to 2 hours sometimes conversation is talking about some of the minutia, right? Some of the expenses that you don't have, or some of the expenses that you maybe have on a prior tax return that you shouldn't have had.
Okay, that's interesting.
To try to help you kind of understand, what are you dealing with from a financial standpoint?
Right. Okay.
And then during that appointment, we'll basically kind of lay out what our plan might be for you. We'll go over pricing, which is all available on the website. We'll talk about the expenses that you can use, well, mainly because we're talking about small business.
Sure.
And then we'll kind of give you a rundown on the 1095A form, how to identify that. Maybe you need to call the healthcare marketplace or something along those lines if you didn't even know you had healthcare coverage through Obamacare. So we really take that time to take a look at all the aspects of what's needed to compile a complete return.
Gotcha.
And then from there, we say, all right, what do you have? What do you not have? And how do we help you get there?
Gotcha. Okay. With that done step, what's the typical process for you? I'm sure it depends on how many hands and how many people.
Exactly.
You get a bunch of business from being interviewed by me, which is probably going to happen.
That's awesome.
But what's kind of like that timer? Is it what are we looking at
Time frame for turnaround?
Yeah, just because I know tax season for you guys.
Yeah.
And if you're out there and you're a tax professional and you want Red Bull being delivered, reach out to me because that's literally what I'll do for from January to April. I'll go by my partner's office. I got Red Bull, I got Monster.
Wow.
What's your Celsius? What are we doing?
Because
I know you guys ain't trying to talk to me, but I can't have you guys forget my face.
You don't send the Red Bull girls. You just do it yourself.
I dress like them. That's the difference.
There we go.
Got my backpack and everything. That took a turn. And with that, let me just take a quick break. So we're here at Hilton Garden Inn. We're doing Testimonial Tuesday. I'm here with Teddy with True Tax Strategies.
Thank you.
More importantly, we're having lunch at 12:30, and like I said earlier, Katrina is making all of it by hand.
By hand, yeah.
Yes, meaning sending some emails, but I do want to go over some events that are upcoming, right? So we have the Connect Her conference. I'm going to hold this up here. It's December 4th, right? And I'm holding this up. You won't be able to scan this because it's literally going to be on your phone, so you won't be able to. But it is December 4th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's focused. It's our one time a year event on health and wellness on all those fronts there. So save the date on that and go to our website. So the eocc.org, and you can sign up for that, register for that. You don't have to be a member to sign up for that. Take advantage of it. Great one. The other one I do want to talk about is Biscuits and Bold Solutions. So Biscuits and BS is what it's called. Right, that's November 14th. That is next week, Friday.
Awesome name.
It is, I know.
Awesome
People,
name.
It gets you to stop and think.
I stopped and I was like, what are we doing?
7:30 to 10 a.m. So it is earlier. Okay, get you out the door and doing business on that Friday.
Right.
Avalon Park Pavilion, and that's right near in the center of Avalon Park. This is where you can meet your elected officials, ask questions, engage, know what's going on in your community that's further than just the news and some Facebook posts about angry neighbors or something like that. All right. The last thing I want to talk about and just get in your ear right now, because this is the kind of like the focus for the next few months. All right. And that is Feast in the East. All right. So this is February 26th next year. What is Feast in the East? It's our all around food extravaganza. You pay one price, you get in. We usually have 20 to 30 food vendors, drink vendors, and some other ones there. But the focus is on our partners who offer food, who sometimes just can't get out to do these kind of events, right? All right, cool. We got that out of the way. Again, Ace Handyman Services is our sponsor. Another question when it comes to the tax side of things.
I feel like you were in the middle of your last question.
I was, but you kind of answered it with the AI. So
sorry.
you kind of went there. So I was good. I was kind of like, because that is a big worry, and we kind of let me touch upon that real quick.
It's a huge worry. Go ahead.
It is, because there's a lot of people out there saying, you know what, I got TurboTax, and then there's a pop up that happens, on TurboTax that says, hey, would you like me to answer a question?
Did you know TurboTax isn't actually free?
No, it's not. It's not free. They always start like, you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah,
right?
Until you get to $30,000.
Right. So talk about what's the difference? Back in the day, I used to sell windows, and people say, well, I can go to Home Depot and get a window. I say, yeah, but when you open the box, installers don't jump out, right?
Exactly.
If you don't put it in right, you can't call Home Depot to come fix it, right? So how when you do get, I'm sure you get like, man, this price, I go to TurboTax XYZ.
Yeah, of course.
How was the response, or how are you helping correct that idea?
Well, to be honest with you, as a tattooed man, one of my favorite quotes is, bad tattoos aren't good. Excuse me. Expensive tattoos aren't bad, and cheap tattoos aren't good.
Okay.
So it's the same exact concepts you can apply to honestly anything in life.
Sure.
I think it's Steve Harvey that said, when you fly first class, you live a lifestyle that requires you to fly first class.
Okay.
Meaning the dollar that you're spending is going to put you in a situation, put you in the atmosphere of other things in your life that require you to elevate to that level.
Yeah.
So you can apply the same concept to tax.
Okay.
Not to say that we're ridiculously expensive, but the cost is worth what you're doing. So you can start with a regular, and also you can Google. I think the market right now is almost $400 for like a standard 1040. I think we're starting at $275 plus a W-2 at $50. So you're looking around $325 to get that knocked out. But and not to digress, but it's the value.
It's competitive depending on the amount, right?
Exactly.
That's what I've seen in TurboTax.
It's competitive. But the difference between us and TurboTax is that when you need help filing your taxes, somebody's sitting right in front of you, or at least on the Zoom with you, that can kind of help navigate what you're missing, what you're not. If I had $1 for all the people that call me that are friends of mine and say, hey, listen, I'm going through TurboTax, I'm going through this software, and I'm having a tough time navigating it. I mean, I have friends that I went to high school with that I still just give them the advice, because they'll come back to me at some point because the software is just too difficult. They don't understand how to how to enter the Obamacare on the form, how to make sure that they've got all the lines properly entered on the bottom. I think it's line 33 on the 1095A that needs to be reported on the return, which is your cumulative expenses for the year for your subsidies. So a lot of people don't even know anything that I just said.
Yeah.
And you're still required to put that on the return. So it can be difficult. But we definitely tend to hold our clients' hand and walk them through it. And I know that, yes, sometimes TurboTax has it on the side and you can just kind of read and fill it in, but there's no substance to what they're providing. It's just a
one-size-fits-all idea.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a one-size-fits-all idea, and you need to be able to kind of accommodate the client's need on the fly.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I find it, because there's a lot of, and I tell people all the time, it's just like, listen, if you want to do payroll, you don't have to pay anyway. It's a calculation.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, like, what's the calculation? Now, you take all that onto yourself
right.
at the end of the day, right? So if you got that, if you put, it should have been 3,000, you put 300, right?
Yeah.
What's the end result of that? It could be very costly, and it's not going to be just paying the difference to get it right with the IRS, whoever we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So when people do, and they've taken that route, what other services of, like, first year doing payroll with you, what other services you guys offer if somebody say, hey, I did do the TurboTax last year. Can you help me with those?
Yeah. So we often try to take a look. That's why we ask for, I was speaking about earlier, what do we need when we take a look in that first 30 minutes? We take a look at the last year's or two's tax return to kind of see where you're at, what you've been doing, and then if there's anything that you could have done differently. We do offer amendments. As long as it's not outside of the scope of business that we do morally, then we'll obviously take a look at what we can do and see if we can help you take advantage of some of those benefits. For example, sorry about that. For example, if you are, I don't know, maybe you're a 1099 employee, right? And you don't exactly have an LLC set up, maybe there's a way that you could take advantage of the Schedule C because you had higher than the set IRS requirement dollar amount to go ahead and write some of those expenses you incurred while you were making that money off.
Right. Okay.
So there's things like that. We can go ahead and go back and amend that for you, as long, again, as it doesn't fall outside of the moral scope of what we do.
Gotcha. How far do you guys go back when it comes to
3 years?
3 years. Outside of 3 years, then
outside of 3 years, depending on the situation, you might need a tax attorney. We can back file longer than that, but the IRS typically looks at the last 3 years of tax returns.
Gotcha. So as long as within the 3 years. When it comes to, I have a new kid, a daughter, son, and this is their first year doing tax returns. They're 16, but they're going to be on my taxes. What can they do on their end to kind of get them set up for that? So they're the first tax season, I guess.
Okay. Well, it depends if they're in school or not, and it depends on the structure and what you got going on in your family home. So I actually had that situation with a client that was brought to me through another, where they had a child, she's 20, she's working at Wendy's, she's working at GameStop, I believe. So, just standard W-2 jobs that you'd have. However, this would be her first time filing taxes since she's been out of high school. And she's not in college, so she doesn't have the 1098T form, which would be it's the American Opportunity Credit that you can take advantage of. If you have a college-age student, they can get an extra $1,000 to help reimburse them for some of the expenses that they incur while they're going to college. However, so it's an excellent credit. However, a lot of people do abuse that. So what you need to make sure, number one, is that you get the 1098-T from whatever college or university that your student's going to, and then you can apply that to your actual tax return if you still claim them.
Okay.
So that you would then get the credit because you're normally going to be incurring
So that
the expenses.
claim for the 1098-T, that would be on the parents.
Yeah, it would be on the parents'
not
return,
during
not the individual.
Depending on well, does the individual need to file?
Yeah,
Like
the individual does need to file. So
Okay.
they still need to file their W-2s because you still have a taxable liability there. However, the credit, because of the American Opportunity Credit, that credit, as long as the child is a dependent of the parental return,
Gotcha.
that credit and all the earned income credit that the student would receive goes to the parent because they're claiming them as a dependent.
Gotcha.
So the student you'd still get a basic return. You'd still get a basic return if you're making, I don't know, 10, 15,000, and if you got a couple $100 in expenses, you'd probably receive that back as long as it was paid over because it's a refund of
Sure.
overpayment of tax.
Right.
But the parent in that case would then claim the child and receive that credit and any earned income credit and refund that they would receive on top of their own standard return.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's how you would go about that.
That's interesting. I had not known about that.
Really?
The 1098-T. I don't know everything, man. I know a few things. Before I get too far, give me your contact information, like phone number, website, just to
Sure. So Teddy Alston, you can find me at 561-895-9529. That's my cell phone. That's the one for the business. And the website that we actually just had redone is www.truetaxstrategies.com.
TrueTaxStrategies.com.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to make sure that's correct on here too.
Yeah.
With the technology changing, we talked a little bit about that. How much work effort are you kind of changing year over year?
Okay, so in the vein of efficiency, what we try to do is streamline the clients that we do have through a new CRM system that we're using.
Okay.
That allows us to do a bit of to offer a bit of financial advising as we're preparing the tax return. So really, again, it kind of goes back to AI and the technology aspect of things. Is we streamline the process with businesses like Calendly, right, to set up our appointments that connect straight to Zoom. So you know that this set time is when you're going to be meeting with me. You've got this lined out. So a lot of that helps us kind of alleviate that workload.
Gotcha.
So that tax season when you're dealing with anywhere from 150 to 200 clients, and that's on the small side for myself. That's just my personal PTIN. That's something that we try to make sure we can streamline to make sure that we give everybody the quality of time that they need with us, and then we can provide the correct service.
Gotcha. What are some red flags that somebody can probably look at and say, hey, grab last year's tax returns? I know which ones I've seen, especially on the 1120 side. Like they could look at and say, hey, if you kind of see these things come out, reach out to us. We'll have a conversation about that.
Yeah. So red flags on the return or red flags in the preparer?
Well, I went to a preparer last year, let's say, but when you look at you're like, okay, there's some missing things. For a specific example, like I've seen some 1120 business, and I said, did you fill this out or did somebody do this for you? Oh, somebody did it for me. Why isn't their name at the bottom?
Exactly.
Right? That whole part of it's missing.
Yeah. So a lot of it is going to be the verification of the return. At the bottom of the tax return, you should see the PTIN of the person preparing it, which is the preparer's tax identification number. That's there. It's listed with the IRS, and if it's not, you should probably ask them why. You can also look up the business. Not all businesses are, they decline to be listed with the IRS as a reputable business, but you can look them up. So that's something that's huge. It's something that we always try to stress to all of our preparers. Make sure that your PTIN is on the return. On most softwares, there's a box to check whether or not it's prepared by a preparer or self-prepared. So it should be something that you make sure you secure. That's a huge red flag if it's not listed there. And then when it comes down to personal tax things that are on the return, out-of-pocket expenses. So if there's a lot of things that certain individuals might try to write off, like maybe they try to write off a gas expense under travel, or recently, food expenses is 50% deductible for some small businesses. So if they write off 100% of that, they're probably trying to stretch it.
Gotcha. You want more information from Teddy, all right, TrueTaxStrategies.com. You can give you the phone number, 561-895-9529. He's going to give you more on a personal one-to-one basis. We're here at Hilton Garden Inn, UCF, next to the racetrack on Alafaya. We're doing lunch at 12:30. Again, all cooked by Katrina here and the chamber. We have another interview coming back afterwards too, so stay with us. EOCC.org. You can see all the events, sign up for anything. If you have any questions, you can find my name, my business, and my phone number on there, and I will be more than happy to help direct.